back, ladies and gentlemen, to Senestech's channel, an agricultural biotechnology life science company managing animal population through fertility control. Joining us to take us through a few Q&As here, we got Joel, the Chief Executive Officer, as always, joining again. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Love having you back on. So I'm going to dive right into this because you mentioned that adding ContraPest, your product, to an integrated pest management program has been shown to improve efficacy, fewer rats by up to over 90%. What is an integrated pest management program? Kind of break that down for us if you can.
Absolutely. So an integrated pest management program, or IPM as it's called, is really applying a set of tools to manage the pest population. So they include sanitation, physical exclusion, biological control, lethal control. So I can explain a little further as they are applied to rats. Sanitation is really about removing a food source. In many cities, the practice is to put out the trash in plastic bags. Well, that just gives the rats more food. If you give rats an increased supply of food, they will reproduce even more. That's why cities are moving towards metal trash cans that are rodent resistant, but they face a lot of resistance from people who don't like the sound of trash cans getting picked up and being put down, or the inconvenience of tamper-proof receptacles. So lacking a good sanitation program will doom any pest control program. Biologicals, while you have probably heard of introducing feral cats to hunt and eat the rats, owls have also been tried. That doesn't work out the way that it was intended. Exclusion is all about slowing the access of rats to a building or area. If you can seal the obvious holes in the wall, for example, you may be able to reduce the rats using your building as a nesting or feeding area. You probably can't completely stop them, as rats can gnaw through almost anything, so it's a constant battle. And of course, lethal control is exactly as it sounds, trying to control the population by lethal means, trapping, poisoning, carbon monoxide. Each of these lethal means has limitations and drawbacks. Trapping's labor-intensive, certainly not for the squeamish. Carbon monoxide is tricky to set up without making the technicians sick and allowing the rats to escape. And poisons are limited by the rat's neophobia, aversion, resistance, and sometimes the wrong animals are poisoned. So I think the bottom line is that they're all attempting to control a population from an isolated part of the life cycle. Adding fertility control closes the loop, so to speak, on the cycle by reducing the birth rate.
So yeah, so just kind of leading into it as well, can ContraPest work on its own outside of an IPM program?
Sure it can, given enough time. The most opportunistic situation is combining the elements of integrated pest management and having them work together and support each other. We have plenty of evidence that outcomes are improved over the baseline when ContraPest is added to an integrated pest management program. But given enough time, the product will work itself.
Now, does ContraPest ever not work?
So we get occasional reports that it's not working, and most every time the people think that ContraPest isn't working, really it's that you haven't given it enough time to work. Rats live about a year in the wild. If you're adding ContraPest to the program, it stops the breeding, but the rats continue to live out their lives. So we suggest that you add ContraPest. When you add ContraPest, the population effects will be noticeable in 3 to 6 months. Faster results are required or desired. That's where the other IPM tools come in. Other times we hear reports that it's not working. It's because they've ignored the other parts of the IPM program. If you're still providing food and shelter to the rats, that's going to have an effect on the perceived pest management outcome.
Now, you also kind of mentioned resistance to poison. Can rats become resistant to ContraPest?
Not that we know of. The actual mechanism of action makes it unlikely, according to biologists, and the fact that it works via 2 active ingredients on both male and female, and females make it statistically unlikely, according to population ecologists. There have been a number of independent reviewed peer papers about this, and so we think the answer to that is no.
Well, on that note, I definitely appreciate these insights today. And as always, I'll pass the question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section below around this fascinating story. And consider subscribing for updates because as news hits the wire, of course, we're going to bring it to you here. But on that, as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.